Hello, my name is Marie and this is my December wrap-up. This month I managed to read 12 books, which I am so happy about since I didn't start reading until the 19th of December due to exams and revision and stuff. The first 4 books I read for the Christmas booktubeathon. I will mention them now, but if you want to know what I really thought of them, I suggest you go and watch my wrap-up for the booktubeathon. I will put it here. Okay, so the first book I don't actually have in physical copy on me right now. It is at my halls. It is For a Divergent Collection by Veronica Roth. I quite like this book. It wasn't my favourite in the series. It was a nice companion book for the series and I did really quite enjoy reading from Four's perspective. The second book I read is Have a Little Faith by Candy Harper. This book is just a lot of fun and was very entertaining. The next 2 books I have are both by Roald Dahl. They are George's Marvellous Medicine and The Magic Finger. I enjoyed both of these books. They are books that I read as a kid and I loved them and I'm happy that I got to reread them. Okay, so moving away from booktubeathon, I decided after reading Roald Dahl I wanted some more kids books. So the logical conclusion was The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I didn't manage to read the whole series during December. I read the first 5 books. The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Return to Narnia, and the one I finished last night at about 10 minutes to midnight, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. So far I'm really enjoying this series. I think my favourite book so far has got to be The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It was just so fun watching the kids discover this new world that they didn't know existed and just seeing the family come together to save it. It was just really good. My least favourite book so far is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Don't get me wrong, this is still a really good book. It's just I was expecting it to be better because I've watched the film and I really loved the film, but like most adaptations, the film isn't strictly like the book and I prefer the ending of the film a lot more. So the ending of the book just, I don't know, it just made the book seem less good in my eyes, but it was still very good. I also had this little novella thingy. It's Susan's Journey Through the Wardrobe. It was in a cereal box many years ago when The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe film came out, and it's just something that I've had, and since I was reading the series I thought I would read this one too. It was interesting seeing Susan's point of view, but it was very rushed. But as free books from cereal boxes go, I'd say it's a pretty good one. That's all I'm going to talk about the Chronicles of Narnia. When I finish the other 2 books, they're up here, I am planning on doing a review for the whole series because it's a really good series and I think it's worth its own video. Another book I read this month was The Christmas Bake Off by Abby Clements. This book I obviously read as an ebook and the cover is boring, but it was quite a good book. It's a really short book. It's 35 pages long, but it was just the thing to read on Christmas morning to get me into the Christmas spirit. It's kind of your typical fluffy, Christmassy romance. It felt a bit too short and like everything was a bit too rushed and happened too quickly, but I still really quite enjoyed it. Another book that I read in December was Blind Date Marriage by Fiona Harper. I don't really read pure romance books. I don't mind books that have romance in them, but it's very rare that I will pick up a book that is purely about romance. However, I was reading the Chronicles of Narnia, I got to halfway through the 5th book, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I just felt like I needed to read just something different. So I was planning on reading 1 chapter of this book before I went to bed. That didn't work out. After I read that chapter, I carried on reading and I didn't put it down until just before 4 AM. As you can probably guess, I did quite enjoy it. This book was just cute and fluffy and just the perfect break from reading the Chronicles of Narnia. And I really enjoyed it and I will be rereading it in the future. The last book I started reading many months ago. It is The Salmon of Doubt by Douglas Adams. This book is just so heartbreakingly good. This book is a collection of short stories, interviews, random writing, and the first part of the first draft for Douglas Adams' last book in the Dirk Gently series. It was compiled after his death by friends and family, and while it's sad to think about how this book came about, the writing in it is just so good. He just seems overly enthusiastic about everything that he writes, and it was just so fun and interesting to read, and I really enjoyed this book and the whole series. Douglas Adams has become not only one of my favourite authors that I have read this year, but one of my favourite authors that I have ever read. That's it for the books that I read in December. I did, however, also DNF 2 books. The first one being The Web and the Wing by Teresa Rafferty. The general premise and story of this book is good. I like the idea behind it, and the story itself is not bad. It's just the way that the story is implemented that just really annoyed me. This book is, as you can tell, quite big. It's only like 380 pages, but everything in it was too over-described, and I was reading it before I went to university, but I didn't take it with me, and when I came back my plan was to read it before the end of the year. I picked it up, I was on page 89 before I left for university. My plan was to come back, finish reading it before the end of the year. I came back, I picked it up, I remembered what happened previously, but I couldn't even get through a page and a half of it. It just had lost all the interest, everything was too over-described, and I couldn't continue. I am hoping to pick it up again in the future, because like I said, the book itself, the story is good, it's just, it seems like there's a lot of beating around the bush to get to the story. Everything is over-described and it just makes it feel boring in my eyes, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to pick it up and read it again. The second book I DNF'd was Half Bad by Sally Green. I quite like this book. It wasn't my favourite, it wasn't my least favourite, it was just sort of okay. I started reading it while I was on a camping holiday, because I was camping, there wasn't a lot else to do, so I got to page 138 quite quickly. However, when I got back there was books that I wanted to read more, so I picked them up, and then before I knew it I was going to university, and then when I came back I wasn't in the mood for it, so I've decided not to continue reading this book now, but I am hoping to pick it up again in the summer. I really hate giving up on books, but it feels like I will be forcing myself to read them if I try and read them now, and I don't want to do that, because reading should be fun and enjoyable, and that's what I want it to be. So that was it for my December wrap up. I hope you liked the video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!